After removing the differential, now we get to the exciting part, which is installing the LOKKA locker itself. I will be using the provided instruction. Right, so the first instruction is to take note of the backlash between ring gear and pinion gears. And here we can see the backlash when it's moved. It's showing 1.4, which is good because the Prado specification is 1.3 to 1.8. Next we need to undo the carrier bearing returner bolts. So now that we've marked all the position, we need to also mark this adjuster mechanism so we can put it back where it was. So I'll just mark between here and also on the other side. And we also need to mark the mating between the ring gear and the carrier. Now that we want to remove this mechanism, this is where the lock pliers come handy, because we would like to lock the position of this adjusting nut with the carrier. So it just simplifies later assembly. The next instruction is to undo the two parts of the carrier assembly. Alright, so I found this brass plumbing thing. So it's very close now. So now that the LSD is disassembled, we can see what's inside it. Just want to keep everything in place. So that's basically the order. The next instruction says to remove some of the LSD plates and to retain the outermost LSD plate and note which side it is fitted. They are commonly different thickness on each side, and it is important that they remain on their original side. Also note that the large crosshatch pattern fits against the hemisphere, not the next washer. So I wasn't sure about that one at first, but I think what they mean by retain the outermost LSD plate is this one, because this one fits to this hemisphere and not the washer. So if you look at the washer, it's slotted against this part, and this outermost plate sits against this one. You can see the imprint of the crossheads, which is just an imprint of this washer, so it would have sit like that. So I think the instruction says to keep this one, and also choose the best condition shiny LSD plate. So the best condition shiny LSD plate, and it must be one of the shiny chrome plates, not the one of the crossheads clutch plates, so not one of these. So if I'm correct, I need to remove this one and these two. So it says these plates will be used as a thrust washers for the new axle gears, refer to below. So it will fit to the inner surface of the outermost LSD plate. So this part will go to the LOKKA, and also do the same with the carrier side as LSD. Next step is examine the spider if there's any sign of wear, particularly where the pinion gear spin then replace the spider. Check the condition of the cross shaft with a micrometer, and so far so good. And just like the other side, we will take the outermost side, so this one, and one shiny plate. The next instructions say fit an axle gear and thrust washer into the ring gear side of the carrier. On the carrier side, as per instruction, put the shiny washer, and then note the orientation that the grid should face the carrier, so should be like that, and put the assembly in. Then we put the spacer with the recess pointing to the cross shaft. We put in the cross shaft as per marking, and next we will measure the distance between the spacer and the center block, and according to the instruction it should be 0.1524 millimeter to 0.508 millimeter. Measure through the opening, and take note in the spec sheet it needs to be recorded for the warranty. So I've measured this, and one side I've recorded exactly 0.5 millimeter, and make sure that you push the cross shaft down so it doesn't tilt, as well as the spacer. And then we need to do the same for the other side of the assembly, exactly same method. Don't forget to clean the spacer and all these thrust washers and grease them a bit. So the next instruction is to check for operating tolerance. Put little grease into all the holes and teeth of each LOKKA cam gear. Fit spring into each of the deeper slotted holes, 2 per gear. Fit a pin into each of the round holes, 2 per gear, with a step or nipple exposed, so the nipple pointing up. The step locates the pin into the end of the spring. Locate one cam gear into an axle gear already in one half of the carrier. Do not put the spider. So I think what it wants is have one side, put all the cam, put the springs, and then put or assemble both of the section, but without the cross shaft itself. So I'll do that. So I'll start greasing all these LOKKA sections and also the holes, so that the spring can sit without falling off. For the pins, let the nipple to face up. Do this carefully. Pins. Put the second part of the axle. So next instruction says to put in just a few bolts, and then measure the inter-cam clearance. So this is the thickness that I was able to measure between the cams, and by using micrometer it is 0.38, which is definitely between 3.5 and 4.1, so that's actually quite in the middle. So I will try to measure all of the clearances throughout. Next is to reassemble the carriers as before, this time with a spider located between the cam gears. Place the cross shaft in the right position So because I've marked them with A, B, C, D, it makes things very easy. Here I'm using a motorbike tire changer to help me with the torquing of the LSD mount. Next we will need to put the ring gear into the assembly, but as can be seen here, it is a very tight fit. So instead of forcing it using bolt, what I will do is I will heat this ring gear in the oven, and then once it's heated it expands and it should just slide in. As usual, crisscross pattern. Also important to remember is to put in the ring gear as it was installed before, so this was my mark. So again, I'm using this motorbike tire changer as I do not have dedicated vise. For installation of the carrier into the diff, I've put the diff into a vise as well. Make sure that all these are clean. So the easiest way after we put this side correctly, this needs to be under tension, which means that we can't just put everything in place. So what I did was just remove the top cap, place this assembly or this nut to the bottom side, which is very easy to find the thread, and then place the top cap again, which then will make the assembly untensioned. So just need to retension to the original location. The final stage of this part is to check the backlash after all the changes, and seems like we've got the correct one. So it's on 1.335 or 325, so it's still in spec. In fact, now it's a bit or a fraction tighter, which is great. So we have the final details of the measurement before and after. Spacer to cross shaft clearance, left hand 0.5 mil, right hand 0.5 mil, so very symmetrical. Intercam clearance 3.8 and 3.8. This is an average after measuring a few locations. And the backlash before was 1.4, 1.38, 1.4, 1.44, measuring every 90 degrees. And after 1.3, 1.4, 135, and 1.4. So in a very good within spec of Toyota specifications. The next step is to reinstall this diff into the car.